What up, y'all? Let's get into day 9 of the Diddy trial. Today, we have Diddy's second assistant testifying, and he's going to be finishing up on the stand. Then we're going to get into Kid Cudi, Cassie's makeup artist, and a special agent from Homeland Security. Let's get into it. So to start this off, Diddy has an assistant by the name of George Kaplan, and we're going to finish up with some key points from his testimony. If you want to see the start of his testimony, you got to go back and watch my day 8 video because that's when he took the stand for the first time. This is his second day testifying. All right, so he's speaking to the feds and he's saying like sometimes he would carry large sums of cash around for Diddy. At one point, it was $50,000, and sometimes he would go pick up Western Unions for about $10,000 or so. And this money would be coming from the Combs enterprise to give to Diddy. So I'm assuming they're trying to say Diddy was using money from his business to fund and pay for the transportation of escorts. He also spoke about the women Diddy was dating while he was working there, which was Kim Porter, Cassie, and Gina. Now, Gina was supposed to testify in this case as victim 3, but all of a sudden she went missing. We don't know where Gina at, okay? We don't know where she at. I'm thinking Gina may got a wire into her bank account. She may got a direct deposit that made her go missing. That's just my speculation. I don't know. So he spoke about one day they were on a private jet. Diddy started to assault Cassie. He said he was on the jet, Diddy, Cassie, and some security guards, and he was just sitting down, and he just heard glass shattering behind him, and the door was kind of open, and when he looked back, he saw Diddy kind of like standing over Cassie. He says Cassie screamed like, "Yo, is anybody seeing this? Like, do y'all see what he's doing to me?" He said Diddy had like a glass or a champagne bottle like about to hit Cassie with it. So the feds are like, "Okay, did you do anything?" He was like, "No." They said, "Well, did security do anything?" He said, "No." He was like, "Listen, I was just young. I was 23 years old. I was just getting into the industry. I wasn't about to get involved into none of that. I'm here to be Diddy's assistant, not breaking up no fights." The feds say, "Well, did you go to the police?" He was like, "No, I wasn't trying to risk my position with Diddy. I just minded my business." The feds say, "Well, did anybody at least go back there and check on her?" He said, "No." He said, "When the plane landed and we got to Vegas, Diddy went straight to his club appearance. My job was to bring Cassie to the club." Now, he did say when he was taking her into the club, he did notice that she had some bruises on her body. He said the second time he saw Cassie with bruises was back at the house. He said Diddy called him up to the room, and when he got there, Cassie was kind of like sitting on the bed, just whimpering a little bit, just sad. And he said he did notice that her face was like bruised up and swollen. He said Diddy called him into the bathroom and told him to go to the pharmacy to pick up some items to kind of help Cassie heal, like lotion and witch hazel, things that they can mix together to make the swelling in her face go down. The feds was like, "Well, how did you end up leaving Bad Boy? Why did you stop working for Diddy?" He said, "I left because I was just not comfortable essentially covering up this bad behavior when it came to Cassie and other women." He also testified about a time when Diddy was outside so upset with Gina that he just started throwing apples at her. So he's just throwing apples at her. He's a maniac. Who throws apples at people? Who throws apples at their girlfriend? Crazy. So George was like, "Listen, I was just tired of being a fixer. So I left. I went to KK, which is Diddy's right-hand woman. And I told KK, I can't work in this environment. I'm not used to violence. I just can't do it anymore." The feds was like, so you left because the violence was so extreme. Did KK leave her job as well? He was like, "No." So throughout this trial, if you've been paying attention, the feds have kind of been positioning KK as the Ghislaine Maxwell to Diddy, the woman who knew everything. She was a part of his enterprise. And not only that, KK knew that Diddy was being violent to a lot of his girlfriends because people would report this to her considering she's the chief of staff. So if I'm working for Diddy and I see some crazy stuff going on, yeah, I'm going to talk to the chief of staff like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, this a little weird." And KK pretty much did nothing. So far, that's what we're hearing so far in the trial, that when people would tell her what's going on, KK didn't do anything about it. She said, "Just don't pay attention. That's just Diddy." Now, I'm interested to see, is KK going to testify for the feds or is she testifying for Diddy? She got to be testifying for the feds, because if she wasn't testifying for the feds, she probably would have charges because she's too mixed up in all this stuff he got. Then Mark Agnifilio came up for the cross-examination. So Mark was like, "Did Bad Boy feel like a family?" The assistant was like, "Yeah, Diddy taught me the meaning of hard work. Besides the violence, I really did enjoy having the opportunity to work with him. Mark was like, the incident on the plane, did you actually see the physical altercation? He was like, no, but I heard it. Mark said, when Kim Porter passed away, you text Diddy. He was like, yeah, even though I wasn't working there anymore, I did feel bad for him. Mark said, so that means you and Diddy were kind of close. He was like, I did send him an invite to my wedding, but he didn't respond. So then Mark Agnifilio puts up this picture of the assistant, KK, and Diddy. They're all kind of like hugged up, smiling in front of a jet. And Mark was like, look at this picture. You was happy here. He was like, yeah, I was happy because I found the mascara. So everybody was like, what the hell he mean? Well, what do you mean he found the mascara? So he pretty much was saying, the only reason I'm smiling in this picture is because I had to go find one of Diddy's ex-girlfriend's mascara. And if I didn't find that mascara, I would have been in trouble and I wouldn't been smiling in this picture. So I'm not smiling because we happy Diddy got a jet. I'm smiling that I was able to get my job accomplished so I didn't get in trouble. Mark Agnifilio was like, no further questions. Yeah, that kind of backfired a little bit on you, Mark. Mark was trying to set it up like, look, you guys are friends, good times. And he was like, nah, I was actually scared. Like, I'm only smiling because I was able to find the mascara. Next up, Kid Cudi comes to the stand. He comes in like a rock star. Okay, he didn't wear no suit. He came in smoking a cigarette, black leather jacket, jeans, cool as a cucumber. That's just Cudi. So he starts to tell his story. He said, me and Cassie started dating around 2011. Cassie told him that Diddy was physically violent and that they weren't together anymore. He said one day around 6 a.m., Cassie called him panicking like, Diddy found out about us. Please come pick me up. So he went and got her because she sounded super stressed. So Cudi said he took her to a hotel to kind of duck her off and keep her safe. He said while he's dropping Cassie off at the hotel, he then gets a phone call from Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is one of Diddy's other assistants. Not only was she an assistant, she was also cool with Cassie. So Capricorn is calling Cudi like, yo, Diddy is at your house. I'm scared. Like, you need to get home. So this is the story. Allegedly, Diddy found out about Cassie and Cudi. He got mad. He didn't know where Cassie was. He goes to Capricorn's house, wakes her up, allegedly holds her at gunpoint and say, get in the car, take me to Cudi's house. Get in the car, take me where they are. So essentially, Capricorn was sitting in the car as Diddy and whoever is in Kid Cudi's house. So she's calling Kid Cudi, ducking down like, yo, you need to get home. Like, it's going down. This is also an instance where they're trying to say that Diddy kidnapped Capricorn. So that's one of his RICO predicate charges we got to kind of watch out for. So Cudi called Diddy and was like, yo, what's going on? And Diddy was like, yo, I'm just over here waiting for you. In a very calm tone. He said when he got to his house, Diddy was gone. His cameras had been moved around. His dog was locked in the bathroom. And somebody had ramshacked all his Christmas presents. He was like, yo, I never locked my dog up. And after that situation, my dog has been like kind of jittery and stressed out, a little on edge. Lord, I hope Diddy ain't get a dog no ketamine. I hope Diddy ain't get a dog no MDMA. I hope Diddy did not do nothing to the dog, okay? So Cudi kept testifying like, yo, I was really mad because Diddy really messed with my dog. So I got in my car and I was about to go look for him. But then I calmed myself down and was like, no, just chill. You don't know who's with him. You don't know if he got any weapons. So I talked myself down. Good job, Cudi. He said after some time, he eventually went with Cassie to go back to her mom's house in Connecticut, and they was just chilling. And he said Diddy just kept calling his phone, just blowing him up. And he told Diddy, I don't want to talk to you. You broke in my house and you hurt my dog. Lord, what did Diddy do to the dog? Cudi said a couple weeks later, he had somebody at his house dog sitting, and they called him like, yo, your car is on fire. Child, they said whoever set this man's car on fire cut a hole in the top of his Porsche, dropped the Molotov in there, and it just exploded. Like, yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. When people say, I don't know why Diddy is charged with a RICO, y'all treating him like a mob boss, this don't sound kind of mafia-like to y'all? Mafioso? The feds say, what was your reaction to your car being blown up? What the fuck? Cudi was like, yo, I think somebody intentionally blew my car up. It wasn't no accident. So I called Diddy to ask him, was he involved in this? So eventually, Diddy's bodyguard, D-Rock, and my manager, they started to talk, and they set up a meet and greet between me and Diddy. This is what Kid Cudi is saying. He said, so I went to a hotel to kind of meet up with Diddy to see if we can squash it. He said when he walked in, Diddy was standing with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. Yo, Cudi is wildin'. Cudi in court just tripping. He said when he got there, Diddy was, yo, you want some water? He was like, nah, I'm good. Diddy was like, I thought it was cool. You know, that was my girl. How you end up with my girl? Cudi was like, man, listen, I thought y'all broke up. Cudi said, Diddy offered him some water again. Was like, hey, you sure you don't want no water? Cudi was like, nah, I'm good. Cudi, don't drink the water. Don't drink the water. We don't know what's in the water. Kid Cudi said it was just weird because Diddy was very calm, super calm, but he kept offering me water. So they shook hands and was like, all right, we're going to let this go. Cudi said, I looked him in his eyes and said, what about my car? Diddy said, I don't know what you talking about no car. Cudi said he just walked out and let it go. He said some years later, he ran into Diddy again, and Diddy was like apologizing about everything. He didn't go into specifics, but Diddy was like, yo, just sorry about all the drama, sorry about everything that we went through. And that's kind of how Kid Cudi's day ended on the prosecution. So next up, Brian Steele, the guy from the guy from Georgia, Brian Steele steps up to cross-examine Kid Cudi. He said, did you get any camera footage of your car getting blown up? He was like, no. Brian was like, do you know the DNA found on your car was from a female? So everybody is looking like, okay, did Cassie blow the car up? Did Capricorn blow the car up? Who blew the car up? Then Brian was like, Diddy hooked you and Cassie up to make some music, right? Cudi was like, I mean, I kind of knew Cassie before then. But yeah, you can say we were supposed to be making some music together. Brian said, you left your house door unlocked, right? Cudi was like, yeah, I think I did it accidentally. Brian was like, so there was no forced entry. Just some of your Christmas presents was opened. And your dog was just placed in the bathroom. Is that right? So I think this is brilliant how these two pictures are being painted. This is what I love about court. The prosecution is like, look, they locked the dog up in the bathroom. The dog got PTSD. They ramshacked the presents. So the prosecution made it seem like this big extravaganza. When Diddy's lawyer takes over the narrative, he's like, hey, you remember, you left your door unlocked. We didn't break in. And your dog was just placed in the bathroom. And your gifts, they were just opened. Your house wasn't ramshacked or destroyed. There was no property damage anywhere. And you said that Diddy was calm on the phone. So this is what I mean. These two teams are heavyweight boxing each other. Diddy's team and the prosecution. Cudi was like, yeah, when I talked to him on the phone, he always is kind of like calm. It was kind of weird considering he had beef with me. Diddy's lawyer said, when you went to go meet up with Diddy, you didn't think he had a gun? Cudi was like, I'm not sure. Brian Steele said, did Cassie ever tell you she was sexually violated? He was like, no, just physical. And then Brian is like, Cassie played both of you guys, right? Cudi was like, I mean, yeah. So Brian Steele was like, no further questions. So then the fans got up and was like, oh, we ain't finna let it go this easy. So the fans was like, hey, the day of the incident, when you got that phone call from Capricorn, what did she tell you? Cudi said she told me that Diddy and an affiliate of his forced her to get into a car, went in my house. The feds say, what was Cassie's demeanor like? Kid Cudi was like, bro, she was shook. They said, well, why did you and Cassie break up? Cudi said the drama was just getting out of hand. He said he feared for his safety. The feds say, did you believe Diddy when he said he didn't know anything about your car explosion? Kid Cudi said, no. The feds was like, no further questions. So I've heard from people in the courtroom that people who are really running with this energy that Cudi felt played by Cassie, y'all can have that narrative. But I'm also hearing that Kid Cudi came in there with smoke for Diddy. He wasn't up there being anti-Cassie. They said Cudi was testifying like he still had a little chip on his shoulder. All right. The next witness is Cassie's makeup artist, Myla Morales. She spoke up about an incident when she was in a hotel room with Cassie. Diddy burst through the door and all she hears is commotions and fightings in the bathroom. Cassie actually spoke about this incident when she testified. She didn't go into as much of detail, but she said she was at a Prince party back in 2010. She was just chilling. She saw Diddy there and she left. She ran. She just went home. So this is the follow-up to that incident. The makeup artist says he comes into the room, he just beats her, and then I decided to take Cassie to my home, call my doctor who's a friend, just to make sure she didn't have any concussion. This is what the makeup artist says. Feds say, have you done interviews about this? She said, yes. They said, were you paid? She said, no. She said, I was paid for some old photos that she had with her and Kim Porter. Next up, she gets cross-examined by Estavio. She was the same person who cross-examined Cassie. So Diddy's lawyers essentially painted this makeup artist as someone who wanted to profit on this trial. She's done interviews talking about this incident. And even though Diddy knew she was in the hotel that night, he never talked to the makeup artist, never threatened her, never harmed her, never came after her. He's really not this big mob boss y'all think he is. He doesn't go after everybody, okay? He never bothered this lady, Myla Morales. And the next witness they called was Frederick Zemore, who was like a general manager of a hotel out in LA. He testified about how sometimes Diddy would book rooms and there would be a lot of damage, but only KK would approve charges on his credit card. So it sounds like he's kind of implicating KK a little bit because KK was approving all of these random charges. So they said Diddy would like to have the room hot, at least 75 degrees. And whenever he was done with the freak offs, the room was just a disaster. It was a mess. It was a mess. And it had to be cleaned up. And Diddy would make his assistants clean it up. And if there was any money due, KK took care of that. Y'all see how like he has people doing all these little things and he ain't doing nothing because he the boss. And the last witness they called today was an HSI agent. He works for Homeland Security. He wasn't on the stand long. I'm pretty sure they'll probably bring him back up next Tuesday. He was one of the people who was responsible essentially for hacking into all of Cassie's computers and iPhones to retrieve any type of old data. And that's where they kind of stopped that for today. So whew, crazy. This Kid Cudi situation is wild. Do y'all think Diddy blew up Kid Cudi's car? Or was it just an accident? Leave your comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me. Peace.